These officers believed they had the situation under control as they closed in for the arrest. But what they didn't see coming was the cunning, carefully planned escape that the suspects had set in motion. Can anyone truly outsmart the law? These daring criminals did just that, slipping away with shocking ease. Join us on this special episode as we reveal 30 times police officers got outsmarted and humiliated by criminals. Number 30. Real Streets Dash.
Attempted murder of a New York cop caught on camera. The officer hit and injured while trying to stop a car that seemed bent on running him over in Times Square over the weekend.
This NYPD officer was going about his usual routine, patrolling the busy streets of New York City, when he messed with the wrong criminal. A routine traffic stop began when the officer noticed a BMW spewing thick black smoke, causing a smoky hazard for pedestrians and other drivers. The officer signaled for the car to pull over due to the violation. The driver stopped, but he had a different plan. As the officer walked toward the car, he expected the usual conversation between a cop and a driver. But what happened next was anything but ordinary. The driver, who seemed calm about the situation, suddenly made a bold move. Instead of following the rules, he hit the gas and sped away, catching the officer by surprise. The fleeing car struck the officer as it took off. Despite this, the officer quickly got up and tried to chase the speeding BMW, along with other NYPD officers who rushed to help. The suspect's car, however, weaved through traffic at lightning speed, making it impossible to catch. Eventually, the officers had to give up the chase and gather to figure out what had just happened. Is it really possible to outrun a bike on foot? Well, watch closely as the next criminal does exactly that. Number 29. Intense park chase. In this viral video from 4 years ago, a suspect was seen running for his life as a group of police officers on motorcycles chased him down with their sirens blaring. The suspect tried to outsmart the police by darting into narrow streets, hoping to lose them. But the determined officers followed closely, refusing to give up. They skillfully maneuvered through tight spaces, keeping the suspect in sight. Soon, more police joined the chase, making it harder for him to escape. Even when the suspect reached an open area, he was surrounded by cops on motorcycles. Just when it seemed he was trapped, he managed to slip away. However, the officers quickly closed in from all sides, and it looked like he was running out of options. The suspect thought fast when it seemed there was no way out. He jumped over a fence and cleverly escaped from the officers once again. Running from the cops when you're probably innocent is nothing compared to the adrenaline rush you'll see in the next clip. Number 28. Far from jail. In this video, captured on a busy highway, a man is seen frantically running across the road, almost ignoring the speeding cars. He is trying to escape from something. In another clip, several police officers stood by the side of the road with some German Shepherd dogs. Some were busy talking, while others were keeping watch. Next, one officer walked to the back of a police vehicle, and inside was an empty seat. The prisoner they had been escorting had escaped. It turned out that the man running across the road was an escaped prisoner. Whatever drove the next suspect to run must have been something big. Number 27. Street camouflage.
Alright, you got dark window tint. No big deal. Can you turn off the car for me? I'll go over here for you.
In this body cam footage, a man pulls off a wild escape that leaves the police confused. He was parked illegally when the cops approached him, telling him to turn off his engine. The man seemed nervous and said he'd rather park somewhere else, but the officer noticed something wasn't right and insisted he turn off the engine. Instead, the suspect ignored them and sped away. The cops panicked and started shooting at the car as it skidded off the road. In the chaos, surveillance cameras captured the man walking into a boutique and switching his black t-shirt for a bright red jersey. With a confident walk, he stepped out and slipped away from the police without being noticed. But that's not all. He went into another store and came out wearing a face mask. It's amazing how a simple change of clothes transformed him into a completely different person right before our eyes. Some people seem born for chaos, just like the next criminal you're about to see. Number 26. Scrabble with cop. During a routine traffic stop, a police officer pulled over a driver. But this wasn't any ordinary driver. Instead of cooperating, the driver shocked everyone by suddenly running around the car. He darted and dodged, moving like a slippery fish, giving the officer a real headache. Just as the officer was about to catch him, the driver, feeling cornered, decided to fight back. They traded punches, turning the scene into a chaotic brawl. Amid the commotion, another driver tried to step in, hoping to break up the fight. But in a bold move, the suspect used the distraction to slip away, rushing back to his car. He sped off, narrowly avoiding the officer's brave attempt to stop him once again. If anyone had a flair for the extreme, it's this New York criminal. Number 25. Rooftop Parkour. This guy recorded himself while doing some crazy parkour stunts around New York City. Everything seemed fine until he ran into cops on a rooftop, and they started questioning him about what he was up to. He tried to explain that he was just doing his thing, but before the cops could respond, he bolted, parkouring away in a flash. With incredible moves, he leaped from the tall building onto a nearby stairway, giving the cops the finger as he disappeared. Blending into the busy crowd below, he must have felt pretty proud of his daring escape. Same goes for this biker. Number 24. Unhinged rider.
What? What did I do?
The cops had set up a checkpoint and seemed to have everything under control until a daring biker showed up. Without even acknowledging the officers, he skillfully weaved through them and sped off, leaving them in the dust.
Kickstand down. Can you do it? I can't do it.
Continuing with those who just don't care, the next guy definitely pushed things way too far. Number 23. Lawless Daredevil. With a parachute strapped on, this guy was getting ready to jump off a bridge while being filmed, even with a group of police right behind him. The cops shouted for him to stop, but he shrugged, saying that he was going to do it and that they should arrest him if they wanted to. As he reached the edge of the bridge, one cop tried to talk him out of it, but the man wasn't listening. To everyone's surprise, the cop didn't try to stop him. The police just stood quietly as the guy leaped off the bridge, landing safely on the shore below. They remained there, looking puzzled, without even chasing after him. Ever seen a cop get jumped? Number 22. Guards ambush.
Attacking corrections officers and others who managed to walk out of their cells.
A shocking video from the Arizona Department of Corrections on November 3, 2020, showed an officer checking a cell when two inmates approached him. One inmate grabbed the officer from behind while the other started hitting him. Another prisoner just walked away as if nothing was happening. A few moments later, the officer managed to break free, grabbed his pepper spray, and started using it.
Now hired 2 retired state Supreme Court justices to conduct an independent investigation.
The inmates ran away to the first floor as the officer moved above them. After a little while, the inmates came back to attack the officer again, hitting and kicking him more than before. When the officer tried to escape, the prisoners caught him and pushed him to the ground. One of them even hurt his foot while kicking. After a short time, one inmate stopped and let the officer go. But as the officer reached the stairs, the inmates chased after him again, kicking hard. One prisoner even sprayed him with pepper spray. Eventually, they let him go as he climbed the stairs. If that was a prank, it was not a nice one. Here is what an actual harmless prank looks like.
But now there's another failure, one that's so bad a judge has just ruled the department must now go to trial.
Number 21. Road prank. It looked like a normal snowy day for the officers as they pulled over a car for a routine traffic stop.
Утес, я 2015. Преследуем 636 Волгу, 50 регион. Неподчинение
The officer walked over to the suspect's car to ask a few questions, but then something surprising happened. Out of nowhere, the suspect decided to run away. The chase began, and the police car had a hard time keeping up with the old car speeding down the snowy dirt road. When the officers thought they might catch him, the suspect pulled a clever trick. He slowed down and parked his car to the side, making the cops think they had him. But as soon as the officers thought they were close, he made a quick U-turn and sped off again, leaving them slightly silly. Still on crazy car chase, here's an even more thrilling one. Number 20. Hot pursuit. Some people are better left alone by the police to avoid embarrassment, like the driver in this car chase. When the police tried to pull him over, he didn't cooperate. After a high-speed chase, the police cars surrounded him, making it seem like he had nowhere to go. At first, it looked like he was trapped, and he had a tough time dodging 3 police cars. Every move he made was blocked, and it seemed like there was no way out. But as time went on, the driver showed his skills. He cleverly maneuvered through the police cars, finding a way to escape. Surprisingly, the driver outsmarted the officers, leaving them confused and probably embarrassed that they had lost their target despite having so many cars. Away from cops trying to save the day, let's have a look at what a finished cop looks like. Number 19. Nasty cop. This police officer does something completely shocking after a suspect escapes. During a tense chase, it seemed like the cop wasn't in great shape and had difficulty keeping up. Just as everyone expected, the suspect quickly got away.
Oh, thanks God you saved us.
But then comes the surprise. Instead of continuing the chase, the officer steps back, takes off his harness, and pulls down his pants to squat on the ground and relieve himself. Right after the suspect got away. Once he's finished, he uses his socks to clean himself, as if it's no big deal.
Fuck, you've been sick. What's wrong with this guy? Oh no!
He tosses the socks aside, puts his shoes back on, adjusts his harness, and walks away as if nothing unusual happened.
Oh no! This tank!
This cop isn't the first to give up on a foot chase, and he certainly won't be the last. There are plenty more just like him. Number 18. Breakout before sentence. Just minutes after being sentenced to 5 months in prison, a teenager made a bold escape from the courtroom. The surprising incident was recorded on a surveillance camera. The intense video shows the dramatic moment a man pressed a button in a hallway of Bradford Crown Court, which unlocked a door and allowed the teenager to leave the courthouse. The teenager dashed outside into the street, forcing the officers to stop pursuing because they realized they couldn't catch him. Yet again, the following video shows another successful escape. Number 17. Daring escape. A prison escapee is seen strolling around, acting like he's just out for a casual jog, when Officer Carl Borden stops him for questioning. The escapee, pretending to be innocent, claims he lives down the road near Pineville.
Well, if you can't verify me, I'll be at the... Did you see anybody or anything? There's some kids up there playing. That's all you saw?
Carl, being sharp, is suspicious, but the escapee is a convincing actor. Carl asks him questions, and the escapee says his name is Robert Jones. Carl calls another officer for advice. The other officer suggests Carl check the escapee for anything suspicious, but Carl doesn't find anything. The questioning continues, and the escapee changes his name to Jimmy Jones at some point, but Carl doesn't seem to catch it. Eventually, Carl lets the escapee go. However, the escapee's real name is Richard Lee McNair.
Yeah, I mean, it's clean, but it's family owned.
Little old tiny hotel.
Yeah, like a motel deal.
He later fled to Canada, but was caught again. Number 16. Jailbreak. CCTV footage captured a surprising scene at a police station. Prisoners were out of their cells for a quick hearing, with officers keeping watch. However, not all of them stayed calm. Right in front of the cops, one prisoner made a run for it. He sprinted towards the door And though the officers tried to catch him, they couldn't stop him. He escaped with the cops chasing after him. Inspired by his fellow prisoner, another detainee dashed for the door. The one officer there couldn't stop him either, and he made it out. This kicked off an intense chase, with one officer jumping on his bike to pursue them, while the other stayed behind to watch over the remaining prisoners. During all this, the other prisoners sat quietly, without anyone else trying to escape, though the doors had been locked by then. Number 15. Not so disabled. A body camera captures the moment when an officer is escorting a convict in a wheelchair to the courthouse for trial. Everything seems calm, like nothing could go wrong, right? Well, hold on, because things are about to take a crazy turn. The officer, looking relaxed, doesn't seem concerned about an escape. He's casually pushing the convict along, not paying much attention, but little does he know, he's in for a shock. As they reach the courthouse door, the convict suddenly grabs the railings, leaps out of the wheelchair, and takes off running. The officer is left standing there, completely stunned. He tries to chase the escapee, but it's too late. Those precious seconds are lost. To make things worse, the officer has no phone or radio to call for help. He has to rely on nearby civilians to assist. Tired and unable to track down the convict, the officer eventually heads back to his police van, leaving the escapee still on the loose. Number 14. Down street chase. In a residential area, 2 Seattle police cars cornered a fleeing suspect in a white sedan, working together to catch the driver. Trapped, the suspect could only reverse but skillfully dodged both police cars, making the chase even more intense. The officers didn't give up and continued chasing the white car, determined to catch the suspect as they sped through different neighborhoods. At one point, the suspect disappeared from their view, but the officers kept pursuing him. Despite being surrounded by 2 police cars, the suspect managed to slip away and escape from their grasp. Number 13. Beach run. Since March 19, 2021, a video has been spreading on social media. It shows a crazy moment during spring break at a Florida beach, shared on YouTube, and captures an unexpected twist. As beachgoers enjoyed the sunny day, they witnessed something funny and wild. A young man, handcuffed and sitting in the back of a police car, suddenly became the focus of attention. But then, things took a surprising turn. In a bold move, over 200 people teamed up to help the guy escape. While the officer briefly looked away, they acted fast. They quickly and cleverly opened the police car door. The handcuffed man didn't waste a second. He jumped out and took off, running in the opposite direction. What followed was chaos as people chased him, turning the beach into a scene of confusion. Number 12. Escaping jail with souvenir. On a warm July 6th, at the Huber Heights Police Department in Ohio, what seemed like an ordinary day in Montgomery County Municipal Court took an unexpected turn. Nisley, a prisoner, was being transferred along with another inmate when a surprise opportunity came up. While the officers were busy handling the other inmate, Nisley quietly made his move. Calm and unnoticed, he slipped to the side of the car and spotted his chance. Nearby, a van was parked with the keys left inside. Without hesitation, Nisley got into the truck and made his escape. He used the van to crash through the prison gates and disappeared. The police were startled by the sudden noise outside and quickly realized Nisley had escaped. Shocked and confused, they rushed to respond. A few minutes later, they found the van abandoned half a mile from the station. Determined, the officers tracked down Nisley and recaptured him. Now, along with his previous charges, he faces punishment for his bold escape. Number 11. The ultimate escape. A police helicopter records a wild chase through the Santa Clarita Valley. It starts with a suspect speeding away in a car, driving recklessly, and even going the wrong way, barely avoiding crashes with other vehicles. As the chase moves south on the 605 freeway, things get more dangerous. The suspect weaves through traffic and switches lanes boldly, doing everything possible to avoid capture. The LAPD helicopter films every risky move. Suddenly, the fleeing car stops near some thick bushes. Sheriff's deputies and a special team begin searching the area.
Is along the San Gabriel River, along the eastern bank of it, just about
checking manholes in an effort to find the suspect. What seemed like a normal chase turns into a mystery when the driver runs off on foot and disappears into a tunnel. After searching for an hour, police are unable to find him. For safety reasons, the search is called off, leaving the suspect's fate uncertain. Number 10. Runaway Suspect. A dramatic scene unfolded at an Oregon courthouse when surveillance video caught murder suspect Eddie Villalobos Jr. making a run for it after being unshackled in court, as required by state law. Villalobos was supposed to attend the start of his trial, and though he seemed calm as officers removed his chains, he had other plans. As soon as he was freed, Villalobos seized the moment, sprinting toward the door, leaving everyone stunned. People quickly moved aside as he dashed down the hallway, racing through different corridors before slipping out through an employee-only exit. Number 9. Never Too Late. On February 13, 2023, court CCTV recorded a group of prisoners wearing white and orange-striped uniforms sitting in the front row during a court session.
Up and then walks over to the window and then watch what happened.
As the proceedings continued, one of the prisoners began to move around nervously, signaling that something was amiss. Suddenly, he stood up and rushed to the window. He jumped out and landed on the ground without hesitation before running away. Reports indicate that he was later caught and taken to the hospital for treatment, but he will still have to face his trial. Number 8. Saved by the elevator. A 30-year-old man named David Knight was scheduled for a hearing at the Oklahoma County Courthouse in Oklahoma City. He managed to slip out of the courtroom just as the elevator doors opened. Once on the ground floor, Knight quickly looked around and decided to run for it, trying to escape. However, he still had to get past one officer who was ready and immediately chased after him. As Knight burst through the exit onto the street, it turned into a race for freedom. But in a quick and dramatic moment, the deputy tackled Knight on the street, with curious onlookers watching the scene unfold. Number 7. Midnight Drift. During a routine traffic stop, a police officer signaled the driver to turn off the engine. To the officer's surprise, the driver refused to comply. Quickly, the driver sped away, catching the officers off guard as they reached for the car door. Initially, the officers felt secure with other police cars nearby, but they soon found themselves in a tricky situation. The driver, determined to escape, continued driving recklessly, leaving behind a trail of damaged car parts, including a crumpled hood. He didn't seem to care about the damage to his car as he pressed on, searching for a way out. With a sudden burst of speed, he made a sharp escape, weaving through other vehicles and vanishing from the officer's view. Number 6. Court Parkour. These officers chose the wrong criminal to chase. During the pursuit, the suspect made a bold move.
Video shows him suddenly bolt out of the room,
skillfully avoiding capture. He seemed very experienced as he expertly navigated through the building. The chase heated up as the suspect showed he knew the area well, slipping away from the officers and racing down the stairs. In a daring attempt to catch him, one officer jumped over the railings, but landed painfully on his back while chasing the suspect down the staircase. The fall left the officer hurt and unable to move for a moment. Another officer rushed to help him, while the suspect took every chance to escape. Number 5. Handcuffed prisoner. Escapes from court. In what seems like a regular courtroom scene,
somehow gets away from the guards and runs out of the empty courtroom.
Inmates are escorted out under the watchful eyes of armed guards. Everything appears normal until something unexpected happens. One inmate, Gerald Hyde, defies expectations by slipping away from the guards and quickly escaping from the now empty courtroom. Before leaving, Hyde cleverly removes his shirt to hide the handcuffs on his wrists. He moves through the hallways of the Justice Center, but despite a brief moment of freedom, his escape doesn't last long. Law enforcement quickly recaptured him soon after. Number 4. Handcuffed man takes on station. In the small town of Uros, things took a scary turn when 25-year-old Lucas Castanhari dos Santos had a serious run-in with the police. It all started late at night when Santos appeared from behind a car. At first, he walked toward a police officer but suddenly ran away. Even though his hands were cuffed, he grabbed an officer's tool and used it to cause trouble, hurting 2 officers. Santos, wearing a protective vest, wasn't harmed by the officers trying to stop him. A nearby officer who wasn't on duty heard the noise and rushed to help. Caught initially with some drugs and a little money, Santos now faces more trouble for what he did. Police are investigating and gathering facts to understand everything that happened that night. Number 3. Suspect steals police vehicle. A criminal stole a Tundra and sped away from the police, leading to a high-speed chase through the desert. The suspect eventually lost control and crashed the stolen SUV.
And off they went, but yeah, luckily he buried it here in the berm before he got back on Rosemont Avenue, if otherwise we'd...
Despite the wreck, the suspect wasn't ready to give up. They sprinted across the desert, trying to escape and hide from the police. Along the way, the suspect found some parked police cars from the California Highway Patrol. Seizing the chance, they stole one of the cruisers, tricking some officers and getting away for a short time. However, the stolen cruiser soon got stuck, and the suspect had no choice but to surrender. The police quickly caught him and took him into custody. Number 2. Rugged Interstate. A Nissan Altima sped down the road, even though it lost a tire and its bumper during a chase. The car kept going, crossing the state line. Then, a person driving nearby noticed the chase and turned on their emergency lights and siren, trying to catch up to the Nissan. After some effort, they managed to signal the driver to pull over. But instead of stopping, the Nissan driver hit the gas and took off again. The driver was clever, weaving through traffic at high speeds, sometimes over 104 miles per hour. It felt like a game of hide and seek with the police. Number 1. Suspect steals ambulance. In Philadelphia, on a tense night, a stolen ambulance leads to a dangerous chase. The suspect, bold and determined, takes control of the ambulance, setting off a wild series of events. It begins on Roosevelt Boulevard, where the police are ready to respond. Despite their efforts, the suspect escapes from several officers, speeding recklessly through the streets. The situation gets worse as the stolen ambulance weaves through traffic, nearly crashing into other cars and causing damage along the way. More police cars join in, trying to stop the suspect, but the suspect keeps control, dodging the police and adding more tension with every street he passes. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.